this will blow your mind. Most people don't even know they have investments and they're paying hundreds of thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in fees. And before you hit the snooze button and think that this is like really boring, please trust me, just listen/watch this and I will actually save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if you just have a look at this. Okay, first disclaimer, if you are not in Australia, this is not quite the episode for you because this is all about Australian super funds. So if you're in the UK and you have a pension, or the US and you have like a 401k, or the many options you have there, this is not the app for you. Come back another week. But I do have a program that actually helps to show you exactly how to invest in those, both Australia, US, and the UK. It's called Invested. I will put all of the info inside the show notes. Okay. Also, if you are listening on the podcast and you're not actually watching, it might be good to hop onto the actual video because I'm going to be showing you what it looks like on screen. Okay, because all of these super funds, look, they don't make it easy. Now, there's this saying that investing is simple but not easy, and that is absolutely true. One of the biggest things is that the non-easy part is mindset. I'm not going to talk about that today, but the other part is that actually looking at these funds, even if it's your super fund or like investing personally outside of that, it is not clear. It's not simple. So I'm going to be showing you on screen and you're going to be like, how would I have even found this myself? Sometimes things are even like hidden in their 300-page PDS guides, the personal disclosure, product disclosure statements, and it's like no one reads those except me over here, the financial nerd. This literally exists to help you create wealth and get really, really clear about what is happening. Okay, so of the 27-ish million people in Australia, about, I would say like half-ish are invested in like the top 10 or so super funds, but there are 500 super funds in Australia. So there's a few more than I can actually cover just in this video, but at least the ones I run through are going to give you a bit of an understanding. So let's switch now. Okay, so one of the top funds is with Australian Super. Now, I don't have an account with any of the ones I'm going to show you, so I'm going to be showing you from externally. Obviously, when you log in, it might look like slightly different, but the investment options and what I'm showing you about the actual fee impact and what's inside it and all that sort of stuff is exactly the same. So from the outside, if it doesn't look like you can see straight away what the investment options are, then honestly, I just recommend you type in your super fund into Google. Like I will show you, like if it's like Australian super investment options, it's already like pre-populated for me and it'll take you straight to that. Because if I go here and it's like, I could compare super, our performance, well, it doesn't necessarily show you the exact like investments. It might just show you the top performing funds within this super fund. And there are like often like some super funds can have hundreds of different options. What most super funds will actually do is put you automatically into what's called a balanced fund. But here's the thing, that's not necessarily the best option for you. It might not even fit you, like it might not even suit your needs and what you want to be invested in. If you're in like your early 20s and you have an investment horizon of like 40 to 50 to 60 years, I need to be really clear here, that is not investment advice because everyone is different. This is education only. But if you're invested for like 40 to 50 to 60 years and you're sitting in imbalance, bear in mind, you can't touch super. Like you can't take it out until the government mandated or dictated retirement age, which is like 65 to 67 depending right now. But they're going to increase that like every 5 to 10 years. They'll keep increasing that because we live longer. Okay, that was a side note. The biggest issue I have with super funds putting it into a balanced option is that most of the time the fees that you are being charged are insane. Like, oh my God. Okay, so pre-mixed honestly is great because it's already done for you. It kind of gives you like what I'm about to show you is it'll be conservative, balanced, growth, high growth, and depending on the range, it'll be like high growth is like mostly, if not 100%, if not like 90-95% stocks. And sometimes it'll be Australia, it'll be like Australia and the US, it'll be Australia, US, emerging markets. Conservative is a lot of money in either cash or like government bonds, which are like really, really safe, but they don't provide a great return, like a high return. They provide a safe return, but not a high return. So if you're moving more into your 60s area, then you might not want to be invested in a high growth option because maybe you want to take out your money. Okay, so let's look at the premixed options here. Now, high growth is returning like on average 8% year on year over the last 5 years. And that's kind of what I'd want to expect, at least 8%. If you look at the stock market overall over the last like 30 to 40 years, you kind of get about a 9 to 11% return. Now, then you have another one above that, which is called aggressive. And usually that is like emerging markets, sometimes maybe crypto ETFs and stuff like that. If you go into balanced, it's returning almost at 7%. And then there's a bunch of other things. But what I actually want to show you is the fees. Now, what drives me crazy is there is no clear outline of what they're actually charging you in fees, and no clear definition between what fees are for different funds, which honestly to me is negligence. But anyway, okay, I just spent 10 minutes trying to find the actual fee information by investment choice on their website, and it wasn't clear. So I had to again Google Australian Super Investment Comparison fees, and it wasn't even the top two things. I had to click on this, which is a PDF which downloaded to give me the information. This is how insane it is. I feel like they're hiding it. Other funds are a little bit better. The actual number of different fees that they charge you is a lot, and I myself, as literally a stock market trader and investment teacher, like I even find it overwhelming and confusing. It's not straightforward whatsoever. So if you look at this and it just looks like jargon and like what the hell am I even reading and how am I meant to understand this, you're not alone. It's it's very normal. Okay, so they charge different fees for different things, for holding your money, for transactions, for like the actual investment choice that you make, plus like admin costs and stuff like that. Plus you have insurance on top of that. I'm not going to go into that today. Okay, so if you're in a high growth, it's like almost 0.5% by the time you add up all of the fees plus transaction costs. Now keep that in mind. But I'm also going to show you another fund. This is Australian Retirement Trust. They took over Sunsuper recently, so they're like one of the biggest now. They have a lot of different choices, and depending on who you choose, like what fund you choose / automatically put into, will depend on like what options you have access to. Okay, so let's have a look at where their investments are. So we go investments, compare fees and costs. Now, what I like about Australian Retirement Trust is they actually describe to you the different breakdown in fees. There's admin, there's an investment, and there's transaction, and then there's the like total cost of your product per year. Again, this is like separate to the insurances you pay, which you can turn on and off yourself, but most of the time they're default, and you'll be paying like income protection insurance and like life insurance sometimes, and like disability sometimes. So some of these are like really great, they show you, but some are massively different in cost. Again, like 0.09% compared to like some that are almost 10 times the price, and it doesn't seem like much. This is why no one looks at this, and it's so little known, because no one questions a 0.09 compared to a 0.74. That's almost 10 times the fee. It doesn't seem like it though, does it? And like initially, like, you don't even have to be bad at math or good at math or whatever, but when you think about it, 0.09 compared to 0.9% is 10 times the cost of fees. Okay, now I'm going to show you Host Plus. Now, a lot of people chose Host Plus and I talked to like people in DMs that they've chosen this because like whatever, they've read Barefoot Investor, and he talks about some of their options inside as being a great option. Now, here's what's confusing. Just because an investment option within a super fund is good doesn't mean the super fund, like everything else in the super fund, is good. There's like hundreds of different options within one super fund. So this is where it gets like murky. Now, what Host Plus do, and this is why I actually decided to record this video, is they put you automatically, you know how I said in the beginning, most funds put you automatically into a balanced fund. So let's go to investment options, compare. So like, this is what they say. It defines as MySuper as a simple, cost-effective, balanced product for members who want to leave the investment decisions to their super fund, meaning you don't make a decision. You can always choose, like, change it. You can just log in and change it. But what their default option is, and this is the same, it's just that not all super funds are like super transparent or clear about it, is they put you into balanced. Their fees are 1%. And this is what I want to show you. So compared, like 1%, it's called literally balanced, MySuper. This is what they put it into. Okay. So if you type into Google compound interest calculator with fees, you'll get this. And this is a government website. This is nothing to do with me. This is a government, like moneysmart.gov. And you, like, I'm going to use round numbers. And you might think, well, hold on a minute, I don't have $100,000 right now. But you will. And let's just say we invest for 30 years. And if we add $1,000 a month, again, I'm just making them like round numbers so you can like see the impact. And we say it's 8%. And the fee is 1%. And we're going to assume there's nothing else. So over the course of your investment horizon, let's just say by the time, whatever, you're 40, and then you have your investment for 30 years. So by the time you get to 70, that's 30 years invest. You could play around with this yourself and look at the impact. But I just want to give you this as an example. So 100 grand over 30 years, but for most people, you're invested for a lot longer than that. With 1% in fees, you'll end up with 2.5 million, as you can see here. But you end up paying $500,000 in fees. What? $500,000 in fees. Yes, you heard me right. I need to repeat it because this is how insane it is. $500,000 in fees, and you end up with 1.9 million instead of almost 2.5 million. If we change this to 0.005%, you end up paying $30,000. And instead, you end up with almost 2.4 million. Like, to be clear, yes, you are doing the maths in your head correctly. You end up paying almost $500,000 less. The number before was like $518,000 over 30 years that you pay for a 1% fee compared to 0.05% fee, which is almost 30, like not even $30,000. $500,000 difference, guys. Okay. So I want to show you like the different options. Like in Host Plus, like there's someone that makes it really, really clear. This is the balanced option. This one in the middle they put you into automatically. There's their 1% fee. Total investment fees and costs. Let's move over to indexed. And I'm just gonna show you balanced, 0.06%. And index high growth 0.05. This is where I got the number from. So let's just say we did like same for same, and where am I? And I did 0.06. Okay, it's 34,000. $10,000 extra. But as I said in the beginning, like, do you really want to be imbalanced when you could be getting a like higher growth means literally like you will get a higher growth, a higher return. So if you have like $100,000, $200,000 in your super fund and you can't touch it for 30 years, do you need to have a balanced approach when you will literally, like, you can't touch it? You have to ride it out. You have to ride out the ups and downs of the stock market anyway. There's nothing you can do to take that money out. So maybe a high growth option might be better for you. Again, not investment advice. This is purely education. So if we go 0.5%, you end up with like a hell of a lot more. So I want this to really sink in, because right now you are learning a $500,000 lesson that if you haven't looked at your super fund, that you might be invested in something that is really high in fees, and you could be saving literally like $500,000, whatever, dollars over the course of your life, and then show your husband or partner, and they could also be saving $500,000 in fees. Now, then the question that you might have is like, yeah, but hold on, what about the returns? I've already looked at them. Indexed versus like whatever their normal one is very comparable. So this indexed balanced is about the same compared to balanced. Now it is about a 0.5% difference, but what I don't want people to do is like compare the last year, because unfortunately what a lot of funds and investment advisors and like financial advisors do is they just show you like if they've done really well like last year, that hey, this is great, but you're invested for decades, not years. Index high growth doesn't show you the net return because it looks like for them it's a new product, so they don't have the like difference, but it's an index, so they're tracking the index, which is why the fees are so low, which is what I love. Okay, I'm just gonna like stop sharing the screen right now. So I've gone through a lot, and I know that was a lot. Oh, my light just turned off. But there's also another whole episode that I ran through where I talk about the difference between profit for members, which is also called an industry fund, versus retail funds. Now, the funds that I've just went through, those three, I'm pretty sure are all profit for members. And basically the difference is the profit goes back to members, as the name would suggest, versus retail funds where the profits go to shareholders. So they don't necessarily prioritize the health of the savings or performance or fees for members. It's all about like running a company, and therefore the company being on the stock market, the shares are shareholder prioritized. There's a whole episode on that, and I'll link that because like it's a previous episode on the podcast. I'll link that in the show notes as well. So there's like so much that I went through, and if you have more questions, which you are likely to, either comment below, but also I have a program where I talk about all of this in a lot more detail so that you can get really confident with your actual investment choice, like balanced, conservative, high growth, and then also how to invest outside of just your super fund and like hold and like be really in control and confident about your investment portfolio to create financial freedom, to create wealth, to like leave a legacy for yourself, whatever, to have time freedom. I have a program called Invested that shows you exactly how to do that. We have hundreds of members. I'll link the program in the show notes as well. Okay, I will see you next episode.